Yeah, so I guess less than the artists themselves. Obviously, like you said, any song, when any artist creates any song, they're obviously trying to convey a message, and that message is different for every person. And how do you think artists should respond when the people that are listening to their music maybe take the message they're trying to convey and distort it and use it in the way that they want, or maybe take their message in the wrong direction? Because obviously the artist has a particular message, but that's not always how the public receives that message.
That's a good question, but it's kind of like with everything, how it can be flipped, kind of
Mm-hmm.
kind of like with I don't want to jump into that, but for the artist, I think it would be best to maybe rewrite some of the messages that he put out or she put out that got flip flopped. You see what I'm saying? Like if they're able to reach out to
Mm-hmm.
their fan base, which is mostly the probably the most important part of being an artist is, your listeners. I don't like calling them fans, but your listeners, the people who are giving you their undivided attention, to listen to what you gotta say and connect with you. So it's probably the most important part is to connect back to your listeners, and just reach out to them and hope that they understand the second time coming around.
Mm-hmm. It's always interesting because I always wonder, when artists hear people talking about their own music, and
Hmm.
I wonder if they think in their head, that's not what I meant at all, or
Hmm.
or they really got what I was talking about.
True, yeah, and then sometimes it works out for the best if it's not what you were going for at first, but it seems to be catching and people love it. You see what I'm saying? Like it can still, it's kind of like a double-edged
Mm-hmm.
sword. You know what I'm saying? It can work, but it can also backfire
Yeah.
against you. Especially
Yeah.
especially now. Everybody is so opinionated. They want to throw out what how they feel about it, and the internet will take it and run with it, and sometimes before your career starts it can end.
Yeah. That's a very good point, right? It really brings in that idea of not viewership power, but like the power of the press, right? Which is
Hmm.
huge in the music business.
Hmm. and
Um,
and overall life, I mean, the power of press.
mhm. Yeah, exactly. And everyone, no one is safe from it, although it could be a good thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
And actually, that speaks to the concept of truth, which is something that Sean wants to talk to you about.
That's right. And my question, Brandon, is about how you say that music, you want to represent your music as truth, and that truth can be told through your own eyes. What do you hope listeners or people can learn from you through your music, and even be inspired to start creating like yourself?
um I just hope that people that listen to the music, they can relate to it, and
Mhm.
I plan on touching the people who have gone through the mud and hardships and understand that it does get better, and this it like we were touching up before we started, the tortoise won the race, not the hare. So
Hmm.
Mhm.
you're gonna go
Mhm.
through those problems in the beginning. It's gonna be, depressing. It's gonna be hard, but it's the people who are persistent and consistent enough to withstand, life's hardships are the people who get rewarded, and
Mhm.
that's who I really want to reach out to, because there's people all over the world that have nobody that feel like they understand
Mhm.
themselves and what they're going through. And me as a youth, after my mother passing away, I felt like no one understood what I was going through and understood what I was trying to say.
Sure.
So when I wrote it down and it sounded how it sounded coming out of the speakers, people started to actually understand that. And if I had a artist relatable enough to go through things like that, I think that could have helped. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And you've learned from those experiences of telling people your truth, and listening through your own relationships, and discussing those things out in your own music.
Yes, yes, sir. I actually reached out to a artist a hip hop artist. He was big, but then he just dropped out of the scene. And I asked him, you know, how do you become a better artist? How do you become a better musician, a rapper? He said, you become a better person. He says, once you become a better person, everything else falls into place. He says, don't concentrate on trying to be the best rapper out. He said, concentrate on being the best human being that you can be, and everything else will fall into place.
Yeah. I think people should also learn that in life too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. That's true. That's true. It just,
Yeah.
you know, it's universal information. You know,
Yeah.
it can be used everywhere throughout the grid, wherever you're at, whatever you love to do. You know, you just use, like we were talking, the algorithm. You use the algorithm, you know, to your benefits. You know, it's gonna be hard. I mean, it's life. There's no blueprint to how you live your life, but there, you know, there's a blueprint on how to be a good human being.
Right. And
That's very true.